let's go.
Okay. So, hello everyone who's just joining us. You might notice this isn't, sometimes you get these webinar calls where you're just a little participant watching and typing. I'm deciding to do a bit different, where you can just jump on. If you feel like showing your camera, show your camera. But it just feels a bit more like we're all engaged and all part of this. How are you doing? How are you doing, Sean? How are you doing, Christian, Randy?
Good.
Good. Glad to hear it. So we'll wait a few minutes just to see how many people arrive live. I'll give a bit of context while we're waiting why this even happened in the first place. First of all, FlohGro, as you're known in Slack, is incredible with what he's built already. And I must admit, I started dabbling with the shortcuts, and I realized when you first start, they're not so easy to start with sometimes. It takes a little while to get your head around them, especially if you lack technical ability like I do. So yeah, I'm really excited to get my own introduction to shortcuts, and also just to get to learn from FlohGro himself. Would you prefer me to call you Flo or Florian? What's the best way to call you?
Yeah, you can just call me Flo, that's fine.
Flo, awesome. Cool. Before, just a little introduction, like we are recording this. So if you are on screen now, you will be recorded. If you prefer not to be on screen, yeah, feel free to keep cameras off and stuff. And this will be shared on YouTube or whatever at some point, just to help the wider audience out as well. And that's pretty much it. Like we'll crack off in a second. I've got to leave pretty sharpish at approximately 6 o'clock my time, so in about 55 minutes time. But until then, we are going to get into shortcuts. So should we kick off? Sounds good. So before we really start, Flo, introduce yourself a little bit. Like, who are you? What are you? How are you so good at shortcuts and everything else?
Yeah, I'm Flo. My name is Flo. I'm from the south of Germany, and I'm working as a software developer in the automotive industry. And I don't know how I got into this stuff, but I just like automating my work, my private work, and help people just love tech, the Apple Technic universe. And when they launched shortcuts as part of their own products, then I really like that you can share it easily with other Apple users and don't have to use any third-party apps for those kind of things. And yeah, I started using Craft a while ago, and of course I needed to automate some things in Craft too, and that's why I like to share these things for Craft too.
Awesome. And just to give some idea of the schedule today, we've got a couple of shortcuts to look at, starting with kind of the most basic ones, right? And then we'll probably expand a little bit, and there's some more slightly more advanced ones as we go. Shall we kick off with the first shortcut we mentioned? So just for anyone who doesn't know, if it's complete beginners, shortcuts help you to basically, automate things using Apple devices. Is there anything else you kind of expand upon from that flow?
Yeah, so just to expand it, there are a lot of basic actions in shortcuts. So actions is always a step, what you can do or what you can set in shortcuts. And all the apps developed for the Apple platform may support shortcuts. So they can define their own actions, and Craft already did, to perform actions within shortcuts for these apps. So as for Craft, for example, just add contents to documents, or in other time tracking apps to start timers, stop timers, and that's totally up to the developers of these apps. And so you can interact with apps via shortcuts, and also connect different apps with shortcuts. Yeah, that's awesome. That's pretty cool.
Cool. So we'll jump into, you might want to start sharing your screen. We can jump into the first one. But those who are listening in, this is an interactive session. If you've got ideas for shortcuts you'd like us to experiment with live, let us know. I'm not sure if it will be possible or not, depending on the complexity of it, but we'll definitely either discuss these things. And yeah, feel free, if you've got questions along the way, feel free to jump in. This is definitely an interactive session. So the first one we wanted to test out, let's see, do you want to jump what we said we're going to try first?
Yes, of course. So you see my screen, right? Just to double check.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I just created a folder here in my Shortcuts app to get the other stuff I have there out of the way. The first thing we wanted to start with is, you often, or I by myself, have documents I open regularly in Craft. And it would be a nice idea to have a shortcut where you can select which document you want to open. Just to start the shortcut and then open the document. So I just created an empty shortcut, and that's always how it looks like when you created a shortcut. You can give it a name up in here, and you can also customize the appearance a bit, so you can select your own icon or whatever, so to make it just a little bit more customized. And then you have just an empty space here in the middle where you can add the actions. And as I said, the first thing we want to do is we want to select from a menu or and open a document in Craft. So what I do most times is either I want to interact with apps, and then you can look here in the sidebar, can click on the apps bar, and then just scroll through the list and see which apps are there. Or what's also working very good is just use the search up there. And when you want to create a menu, of course, you search for menu, just to type right, and then you have two options to use. And what we want to do now is choose from menu, and you can use drag and drop to throw that option here, that action step here. Then you always have some parameters in the top. So this is the prompt at the moment. So we can type directly into it, and let's name it what open. And then you can see there are already two options in the menu. These are not very helpful for us right now, but I just set up, as you can see on the right, a shopping list and a weekly reviews, so weekly goals. So maybe the weekly goals is our first document. So I type it in here, and as you can see, the option down there also changed. Right, then next I will use the shopping list. And just to add a third one, we use the document. So now we have three options, and these will be presented when I hit the play button above here. And okay, I can select one, but nothing will happen because I didn't define what should happen in these menus. And now the next step would be search for Craft here to see how we can open the document. There we have a few steps which we can use, and the one we need right now is to open document, and we can just use drag and drop as we did before, or you can also use the double click on the action, but that will always just throw the action at the end of the list. So now you can use drag and drop again to just move it over there. You can also use right click to duplicate it here. So because we need it in every step here. And then we have three. Yeah, that's just a minor thing of shortcuts sometimes that you don't, then it's just dropping the actions somewhere where you don't like it. So, and now we need to tell Craft which document we want to open. The first thing we need to select here is the space, which is displaying us here. And depending on your spaces, you need to select your own private space. I just use the demo one here, and then it shows us the document parameter here. So click again, and then what document do you want to open? You can use the search here again and search for weekly goals. And then I just select the weekly goals there. I'll do the same thing for the shopping list. Just search for shopping list again. And or the gratitude. Sometimes we need to wait a bit. That's the last gratitude. So now we have our shortcut ready to go. And what happens now when I click play here? It presents me a menu just like before. And when I now click on, let's say, the gratitude, I can also navigate with my arrow keys and then just press enter, and it will run the action and open the gratitude document here. So, and this will also work when you have craft closed, and when I run it again to have the to open the shopping list, for example, then it will open the shopping list and just jump to the next document. And that's awesome. Quite cool. So what makes this useful is you can on iOS, for example, you can create icons on your home screen with shortcuts, or you can on macOS you could drag them to the dock where you can quickly access them.
That's so just to clarify that. So right now, if we drag that to your dock, that would be open in your dock down the bottom, would it?
Yeah, in the dock at the bottom. Yeah, you can actually you can make an application from it and then use it. So it makes an application. If I pull it out and into my dock. Oh no, it's not working right now. So I can use here the add dock.
Oh wow, yeah.
And when I scroll, so you don't see my dock here, but on the second screen, but when I can try to open it here, but I don't think it will pop up. But now I see the icon of the shortcut in my dock, and when I just click on it right now, it opens it again. You see that the menu popped up, and I can go into the gratitude document now again.
Brilliant. That's really cool. I want to take this moment to, because for me, I must admit, it does look a lot easier on Mac. I've never tried it on Mac. I've always been doing it on iOS. It does look a lot easier on Mac than it does iOS. But I want to take this moment to pause and see if anyone listening in now has got any questions about this first shortcut. Feel free to unmute yourself.
I have a question. I've got a list of shortcuts, and I never know which one would be the best to use. I have one called, these are not I didn't develop them, but I stole them. One is Craft Clipper, File to New Craft Note. The third one, Recipe to Craft, Add to Craft Dock, and then the last one, Web Clip to Craft. So are some of these superior to the others?
I think the add to craft dock I know, but the great thing about shortcuts is that you can share them, but also the bad thing is if you install them, it gets quite difficult to use. So as you see, I have 300 shortcuts installed, and I always have to make sure that I'm using the right ones. That's why I make some folders and try to organize it a bit for me. It always depends on your use case, what you want to do with the shortcuts.
Cute.
Does it help a bit?
Oh yeah.
Also, Christian here wrote into chat saying some also interesting information that once you put it in the dock, even if you remove it from the dock, it still stays as an application in a special folder on your Mac. So that's really cool to know as well.
Yeah, and that you can also invoke them from the Spotlight search on Mac. Then nice. That makes them really cool. Yeah.
So that's really cool. Then that's like a really great introduction to almost the most basic, let's say, craft shortcut. Should we move on to the next one and see where we go from there?
Can I add something?
Sure,
that's okay. It's just an observation actually, because this is the first time I've seen it explained, and it was a shift in logic. You didn't start with craft, and I would logically think that I go to shortcuts and I start with craft. I find craft first because that's the thing I want to interact with, but you didn't, and I wouldn't have known to go to menu first and then craft. And it's I guess it's just a difference in logic. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's the same for the next shortcut. So maybe that helps again. So what I do when I create a shortcut, I always think what I want to do and what's my use case. And with the next shortcut we wanted to present, the use case is often you might want to add just some text to your daily note, and that's what we want to do now. And of course we can start with the craft action to add something to the document, but the first thing you need to give into the shortcut is the information. So what text do you want to get into your document now, and what do you need to get text into the interface from shortcut. And this always comes with just trying. You can also use just the all actions tab here and then scroll through and see what's going on there. But sometimes this is overwhelming because it's a lot of actions. And yeah, when I want to put something into the daily document, think about the computer now has to ask you for the input into the document. And when I now search for ask, then there's an action like ask for input. And when I double click on it, it will ask for the input. And there you can see it. You can change it for different types. So text type, or you type in numbers. For that use case, it's of course good to have text in there. And then you can again use a question. So what text question mark is great. Yeah, you can for these actions you can also, for example, give a default answer into it. And now you have some text in shortcuts. And to show you how this actually works under the hood, or how you can access the text there, I just dump in a text action. This is not necessary, but yeah, this just will help to understand what shortcut is doing. So when I now make a right click into it, I can go to insert variable. And you already see that there is a provided input option here, but that's not what I select now. I go to select variable, and what shortcut will do now is will present all the available variables in the shortcut right now. And the first thing is the shortcut input, that's a default, and the second one is the provided input here. So this is this variable here will contain the text the user, so you put into the question into the input question here. And when I click on the provided input here, it will just insert it into the text. And I can run it now just to show it you. I just type some text into it. Then when I click on done, the last step will show what was input into the text field there. And okay. Now we just need, yeah, John?
I was going to say, this is just to pause you, sorry to interrupt you, really. This is, I think, where I already got lost, and I'm sure maybe some of you guys watching were similar. Some of this wasn't necessarily intuitive for me, particularly like the ask for, it really kind of threw me and lost me. So this is really, really valuable to see, exactly what this means. So I guess some of you guys listening in might be feeling the same.
Yeah, sometimes not knowing what to ask and not knowing that ask is required.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I always recommend to start with the use case and think what needs to be done. And often it's also good to just make a note about what you need to do and break down the bigger use case into smaller steps, and then see if these steps are possible within shortcuts. This could also be a little bit simplified. I can show it right now. So what we want to do is add this text to the daily note page. And there Craft has an action which says add to Craft doc. And then when I click on this here, the shortcut is already using the text as parameter here. So add text to this is the same like before to the space. When I click again on the demo space, then I can select a document here again. So I wanted to add it to today's node, and that's great that Craft is providing the today's document, because tomorrow the today's document will not be the document from today, so it will be the document from tomorrow. But this is a dynamic variable here, so it will always be the today's document. So when I select this, we should be ready for that. Just to show you what I meant is you can already, often it's easy to go here and it asks for content here. And when I click on, make a right click here, I can again select the magic variable, it says now, but this is the same like select variable. So it will display all the variables available in the list here. When I select the text again here, it will use the text, but when I clear this, I can also use the ask each time, and it will ask for each time. But I always use it that way because sometimes this shows not the input I want to use, and that's why I always just use a text step. Or you could also use directly the provided input here. Yeah, I think someone is not muted.
Yeah, I just muted. I think it might have been you, Marshall. I just had to mute you briefly. There's some background noise.
Perfect. Thanks. And just another cool thing, what you can do now is if you're used to writing with bullet points in your daily note, then you can also use this text step here to put the bullet in front of the text without you needing to do it. So I just inserted the dash and the space before the provided input variable, and that's doing it all for us. So let's see what's going on when we run it. So as you see on the right, we don't have a today's document in the all documents view from that space. And when I run the shortcut, it asks me again for the text. So I don't know. Then I press Command Enter, and it will run. And then you see it has a today's document created here. And when I open it, the bullet and I have an idea will be inserted into that document. Awesome. And of course, you can just add text, default text too. So this is always present. With what text you add here will always be present in this. In the added text here, and only the provided input is the variable for the text. Any questions until now? Because then I just add a little gimmick at the end for this shortcut. This is only available on the Mac right now, but when you go to the options icon on the top here, you can you have a bunch of options here, but what's really cool is you can use the button here, add keyboard shortcut, and then it's not really obvious here, but you can now set a keyboard shortcut. And when I, for example, use the keyboard shortcut like this, you can set anything you want and press enter. Now the keyboard shortcut is assigned to that to this shortcut. And when I now I set the focus to craft or to, I don't know, find a window, and then I press the keyboard shortcut, this the prompt appears. So I didn't manually started to run the shortcut here, and I just add some text here, and it runs the shortcut, and the text is added to the document. And that's you can use this if you open Safari and have a quick idea, you could use the shortcut and just append the text to the daily note.
So it always adds to the same note. It doesn't make a new one for the day.
Yeah, in this, yeah, for sure. In this case, it just adds the document. And what you also could do, if you don't like it that it's adding the content to the end, you can use the show more button here. And then you can change the mode from append to prepend. And then it will prepend the text. So often you can also disable the show when run action. This will be more relevant on iOS, then you don't see some notification from the top than on Mac. But when I now run it again, just typing some dummy text in here, the text will already be prepended, not appended to the end. This depends totally what you want to do.
I mean, I can see how that's so useful. You know, it's like a quick capture of ideas, right?
Yes.
Like rather than having to open it up, find the right thing, it's a real good way to have a quick capture. I love it.
Sure. Any more questions? Okay. Nothing to hear from me. Now, the question is, shall we dive a bit into CraftCuts, the extension, or try something else here, right?
Let's give everyone listening in. Does anyone have like an idea of a shortcut you'd like to potentially use? And it's not that we're going to be able to definitely do it now, but it'd be cool to hear, even just conceptually, if you think it'd be possible or not. So anybody listening, is there any ideas for shortcuts that you have in mind?
Not from me. I'm kind of here for use case inspiration as well.
Okay,
cool.
So just to give you an idea, this does not always have to end in a daily note. So what I do, for example, is I have a shortcut for me, which I run, which I have linked into my Todoist to run every day, which asks me for something I'm grateful for, and then it puts it always to the grateful document. So I will, so you can use it for that, or you can also use it to, like we now in the choose from menu shortcut with a selected craft document, we are just opening the document, but you could also create a shortcut to quickly add something to your shopping list, so you don't need to open it and add it there. So you could just use the shopping list document in the menu here instead of the today.
Random
document
question.
Here.
Right, I'm not sure if this is possible or not, so maybe it's not. Is it possible for these to kind of go off on a timer? Like, so it pops up on a timer, or do you have to activate it yourself? And the reason I ask
shortcuts,
is,
you mean?
Yeah.
So you can, or that's not possible on Mac OS right now, but on iOS you can define some personal automations. There's a tab in the Shortcuts app on the bottom where you can set a trigger for an automation, and that could be at the time of the day to run a shortcut. But the problem with these kind of shortcuts is that this requires the iPhone or iPad to be unlocked, of course, and if they will run, and if you have notifications off, you maybe will see them. So that's a kind of a problem there. Yeah. But on iOS, yeah.
So I was going to say, I could see a really good, interesting use case. You know, sometimes if you want to, have gratitude a few times a day, or to, I don't know, drink water a few times a day, it could be like an interesting pop-up to remind you to, okay, write down something I'm grateful for, or whatever it might be. So that could be quite interesting.
Yes, that's something I would do with some kind with reminders or Todoist app. So it's actually possible to call those shortcuts with an URL. So reminders supports URLs in the reminder, and also Todoist supports URLs to open from there. And you can create. I can link a description for that. You can create a URL to add text to the daily note. So when you click that URL, it would be exactly the same as just pressing play here or using our keyboard shortcut. And that's something I would do for using this, because it's these kind of user critical things that require the iPhone to be unlocked.
Do you have to tell Siri to do these things?
You can, but you don't need to. So you can.
I'd like to. So do I need to add it to the shortcut? Do I need to add Siri to the shortcut?
No. Normally shortcuts, you can call the shortcuts with Siri when you say their name.
Okay.
This should work. You have to try it out, but this most of the times it should work. This comes is often really useful for these kind of shortcuts with text input, because I don't use it by myself, but as far as I know, in that case, Siri asks you for the text and you can dictate it into the shortcut and it will run it then.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Awesome. Anybody else, any shortcut ideas, or should we move on to CraftCuts? Okay, I think we can move on to CraftCuts then.
Okay, so now it gets a bit more complicated from the shortcut kind
No,
of
don't do that.
But I tried to keep it simple. So because I liked, so just a quick introduction to it, because I like shortcuts, and it's more or less easier for users to create automations with shortcuts than with all kinds of other tools. I thought about building an extension for crafts which can interact with the Shortcuts app. And that's so I named it CraftCuts, and it's you can install it from the GitHub repository just by downloading, clicking on the releases and then downloading the latest release. It's also linked, and you can download a .craftx file, and this can be installed in Craft. So I can show it later, but I already did it in this instance of Craft. And when you have installed it, it will look like this on the side here. You just have two options: add a shortcut, remove a shortcut, and the added shortcuts will be presented at the bottom.
Just
here.
one real quick interruption there. Like, you will have to enable craft extensions first, which
sure.
you'll do somewhere in preferences, I think.
In the settings, yeah. It's also explained in the repository here, okay, how to install it. So there's an installation chapter. And I linked the CraftX developer portal where you can find the information on how to install it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yes, and after you installed it, you can open the extension like this. And what I wanted to do with the extension is I want to interact with contents or send content from documents to shortcuts. So now we were the people providing input to shortcut to the shortcuts, like to add something to the daily note, and now the extension should do the input to the shortcut. And there are several use cases I came up with, and one use case I often heard is how can I add tasks to the reminders app from Apple. This could also be like things 3, OmniFocus, I don't know, who have shortcut support on macOS. And the cool thing is I have prepared a template shortcut, which I will just scramble a bit about, just introduce you a bit. So this is something you can download already from the repository and use for your own. And now to first send some tasks to the reminders app, I will open today's document and create some. Yeah, just added 2 tasks here, and when I created the extension, you can it will send the content and the link to the blog you provided to the extension to the shortcut. So I don't know if all of you know this, but you can actually copy the deep link to some blogs in the copy as markdown deep link to a blog, which will actually under the hood look like this. And this was not really helpful, but I just mark it and then I can show the link. So this will actually contain I need to do that. And this link here can actually be used to open exactly that block in Craft. So when I copy this link and paste it into Safari here, it asks me if I want to open it, and then it opens this this block in Craft. So, and this works from any other app. And the content of the block and this URL is sent over to the shortcut. And now we can work with this input in the shortcut. And what I did is, this is some logic from programmers here. So the first thing is I just, this is specific to the input sent to the shortcut. So when I have just one markdown link, it will, of course, be just one line of text. And when I have five shortcuts, 5 blocks selected, these will be 5 links of docs. Yeah, goodbye, Sean. This will be more lines of text. And what I need to do now is I have to split these lines of text so into one line for every child, into each line. And then what programmers will know, this is a for loop, or a loop for each of those contents. So what the repeat with each item in input block is doing actually is when I share 2 blocks, so these 2 tasks, for example, with the to the shortcut, the repeat with each item will actually just run 2 times. The first time it will contain this the content of the first block. The second time it will, of course, have the second line, the second block as input here. Yeah, then it's doing some magic to divide the content of the block. So I need to do that thing from the Craft Docs open link into 2 variables. And the first variable is block content, which is actually the text of the block, the text content. And the second item, the second variable here is the block deep link as variables. So you have 2 variables, and now you can do something you want with them. Yeah, I hope it wasn't too complicated. I tried to make it simple. I don't know, but maybe it gets clearer when I move on. So now I said I want to add tasks to the reminders app. So I just search for reminders, and there we have the action add new reminder. Now I drag it out of the box here and add it below my comment here, and then you can add it shows the options to add a reminder. And here you can, of course, again, just like the text before for the Craft document, you have to select something you want to be reminded of. When now I click with the right key and choose, navigate to the insert variable, there are several variables available now. So if you remember before, we had just a few variables, and now I can select the block content variable here to be used in this time. And what this actually does is the first time this repeat loops is run, the block content will be I need to do that, and the second time this runs will the block content variable will contain I need to do another thing. And now I already mentioned it earlier. The Reminders app also supports URLs for tasks, and in the Show More option. So I just pressed Show More here. I can also add a URL. And when I go to the with the right mouse click here, I can use the block deep link and insert it as URL here. And that's all we need to do for the shortcut from the shortcut side. And now we need to configure it for CraftCuts. So what we need to do here is add shortcuts, and there are a few options here. The first thing we need to provide for this, for the extension, is the shortcut name. That's actually the name here at the top. I just copy it and then paste it over there. And then I can give it a I named the option display name. So, sorry, just lost the focus. Tasks to reminder, I name it. And then you have several options as inputs for the shortcut. So what we want to do now is we want to add all open tasks from this page or from the current open page to reminders. And that's because that's done by just checking the open tasks checkbox here. And that's actually all we need to do for this use case. The other things we don't need. The separator at the bottom we only need if we have more than just the open tasks, but this will be a lot more complicated, so I just keep it out for now. And then I press the add shortcut and I close the menu. And now we have a new button in the extension. And I just run it, and afterwards you can ask your questions if there are any. Then I run the action, and yeah, you just saw that somehow the Shortcuts app got the focus, and it's now back to the Crafts app. And when I open my Reminders app, you see in my Reminders list, I now have 2 tasks over there. The first task and the second task, which are these 2 tasks. And when I just close the today's document here to show you it's working, and when I let's say I'm just working on this task, I can click on open link, and it will open the document and directly select the block for a task for this task, and this works for the other reminder too. So I hope I didn't lose you all.
Oh, first of all, just wow, like the amount of work and attention to detail and the amount of effort which went into creating this is incredible. So first of all, just wow for figuring this all out. And secondly, yeah, no, I'm not particularly technical. I understand a few bits. And whilst, looking through and trying to understand your actual, how you made the shortcut blows my mind, I think I could execute this. I think I could do exactly what you just did to set this up for myself, and I can see how it'd be really, really useful. Yeah, I mean, anybody listening in, is there any questions you've got for Flo at the moment regarding this? Feel free to put them in chat if you prefer as well. Okay, yeah. So I mean, look on.
Yeah, the nice thing is, so I try to set it up that like you said, that anybody can use it, and that's why I put this comment in here to say, yeah, that now you can do something with the content and the URL, and in this case, it's add the tasks to the Reminders app. But this could also be the, I don't know, Things app, or it could be some other app where you're using it, or it could be you can create files in with this with shortcuts too. So this totally depends on your own use case. I actually see there's MindNote, so maybe you could also create a MindNote document with shortcuts from here.
Cool, brilliant. And Christian wrote in chat, just highlighting that your document on your website to explain this is incredibly detailed and incredibly useful. So again, more hats off to you.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Because you made it very, very clear. Also, Frank, can't wait for craft extensions to come to iPad OS. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's actually that's also the breaking thing here, because the showstopper, because the most apps supporting shortcuts are on iOS and iPad OS, and there are, of course, if you have an M1 MacBook, you can install iOS apps on your Mac that will overcome this thing. But yeah, then it can show it full potential. Yes.
Awesome. No, look, it looks great, and I'll definitely give it a try myself. Any other comments? I think we've probably just got enough time for the last one potentially. If you want to go to that.
Yeah, I can. So the last one, just demoing CraftCuts potential again. I often also hear that it's necessary for some people to just move the tasks from one day to the next day. And that's something you can do with CraftCuts too. So what I opened just right now is the same template we used earlier for the reminders shortcut. And if we think about what we need to do now is we need to use the content from the tasks and add it to the tomorrow's document as task. So pretty simple. There's just one thing we need to think of, or we need to use here, is that tasks are formatted like Markdown tasks in Craft. So we need to the content actually sent to the shortcut is just the text. So when I don't prefix it with a Markdown task indicator, then it will just be a content now. So and what I always do to simplify this is I just use a text step, and I will drag it below the comment here, or above it right now, so it doesn't matter. And in Markdown, a task is always a dash, then a space, and then open bracket, dash, and another closing bracket, and then a space sign after it. And now we want the content of the block in that text. So what this will produce is the prefix for the Markdown task, and I need to do that as output for this text step here. And then we can use it. We can use the craft action again, and the craft add to craft doc action again to add it to the tomorrow's document. So if I add it here, it will work. And I just use the correct space. And here I don't select the today's document and not yesterday's document, but I select the tomorrow's document here. And this will already work. What I want to show you, just to simplify it, this will when I have I don't know 20 tasks here, and I want to move 20 tasks, this will force the shortcut to add the content to the craft document every time. So it will open the craft document 20 times, and that's why you can also optimize this by again using a text step and just scrolling completely to the bottom below the repeat loop. So then I can again use the text step and insert a variable. And now we have, I don't know why it's pixelated that, but we can use the repeat results variable. And what this is always doing is, now it won't work, but when I drag the add text to craft document to the bottom, it will work. It will always, the repeat results loop will always contain a list. So if I run through this loop 2 times, it will contain a list for all the tasks with the content in as a list. And when I now use the repeat results in the text step here, this will actually be, I just type it to make it clear. This will contain the first item in the list will be I need to do that, and the second, and then it will contain a second line in the text, and this will contain the content for the second task in our document. And this will work for 20 tasks. Will also work for 20 tasks. So this is just a simplification of this. And now we are ready to go, and I hope it will work. So once again, I just copy the name of the shortcut, click again on the add shortcut, and then paste the name here at the top. Then move tasks is my name, the name I would like to have in the bottom, the extension creates. And now the first time we used the open tasks thing, this would work. So we would have these two tasks in the tomorrow's document, but it would not remove them from the today's document. So I created another section below with I called input with block modifications. So these actions, these settings here will actually modify the content in this document. And you have two options here. So we can cancel and move the tasks. So canceling means it will create an X for the tasks, and deleting means deleting the block. So the block will not be in the document anymore. Just to show it, I use the cancel move because it's a little bit fancier. And when I now click add the shortcut, I have a second button here. And when I run it, you should see that the tasks are canceled here. And when I just go to the all documents view, the tomorrow's document does not contain anything. So I maybe did something wrong. Yeah, now it's loaded. So the content is was just loading, or the shortcut was not ready to go in the end. So it moved the tasks over to there. And when I go to the today's document, you see they are canceled there.
That's awesome. Again, so much work and so much hard work went into creating this, and I could just see, how incredibly well it works. So thank you so much for doing that. Anyone who's listening live, any questions about this CraftCut?
Lost Tom a bit. Yeah, now you're back, Tom. I think you asked for questions.
Yeah. Sorry about that. If anybody who's listening live, any other questions regarding this shortcut? Okay. That's brilliant. I mean, is there anything else that I see we're kind of coming towards the end of the session, Flo. Is there anything else you'd like to mention or bring up before we officially wrap up?
Yeah, sure. Just one thing. There are already a few great shortcuts working with CraftCuts, which I documented in the repository here. So there are shortcuts, for example, somebody, iBanks from the community, brought the tasks thing and stepped it up a bit. So you can also use due dates in the task. So like when you link a future date in the tasks and would send them to reminders, they will also contain an alert for this day. Or there are also things like you can use to import content into the current document. So you can import the weather forecast or the calendar events just by clicking a button here, import them into the current document with some of these shortcuts already created here. So, and if you have great use cases, just let me know. Or if you already have shortcuts for CraftCuts, then I would be happy to share them here for others. So that's also already described here with a short description, a use case, and or ways to download link to the shortcut. Yeah.
Amazing. And if people would like to learn more about you or see more about your CraftCuts or anything else that you're working on, where's the best place for people to discover and find you?
I have a website. I share some random things. You can check out them on my website, FlohGro.com, or you can follow me on my Twitter account. Yeah, if you want to be up to date.
Amazing. And anyone listening, thanks for joining us. We hope, or I hope, to do other events like this. This was an amazing tutorial of shortcuts, and I'll definitely be using some of these myself, but we could have lots of other ideas for things coming up. So if you've got any ideas of things you'd love to see, whether it's showing people's workplaces off, other tutorials similar to this, or anything at all, let me know on Slack or reaching out to me. I'll be happy to try and make it happen. So thanks so much, Flo. That was really, really good. And I hope you have a great rest of the evening.
Yeah,
everyone listening in, see you next time.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.